Well, I just wanted to have a chance to share a few thoughts with all our Buccaneer faithful. As everybody knows, college athletics is in a situation right now where nobody really knows what the future holds. You just look at the court cases are out there, of course, today. The state of Tennessee and the University of Tennessee are trying to get a temporary restraining order against the NCAA. Yesterday, Dartmouth men's basketball got a ruling that NLRB that they could be considered employees and could unionize. The case in California, the House case in California, where 3 student athletes have sued the NCAA about name, image, and likeness, that they should be able to get back pay basically for 4 years, and then the court certified that as a class action suit that could wind up as a $5.2 billion cost to the NCAA. The Alston case, which everybody is aware of in the past, where student athletes can get money above and beyond tuition fees, room and board, and cost of attendance. So the courts have basically created a situation where nobody knows what's happening in college athletics. The one thing that I do know about college athletics is that if we don't change, then we're going to have a lot of issues in the future. We have to be very willing to figure out what ETSU needs to look like in the future. And so, that's a really challenging situation. About a couple weeks ago, right after the NCAA convention in Phoenix, President Nolan and I met. We were hoping that there would be some direction established by the NCAA, but clearly after the convention, there was really no guidelines as to what things were going to look like. So President Nolan has asked me to, over the 6 months, put together, a strategic plan, a pathway to the future of what ETSU athletics needs to look like. And while I'm not sure exactly what that is right now, and I really want to have a chance to talk to many of you to get your ideas about what ETSU athletics mean to you. There's one thing that I know for sure, and that is that if we stay the same, we're going to fall very far behind everybody in the SoCon, everybody in the FCS world. So, and I think that really that kind of really revolves around 3 different issues. First of all, the transfer situation with the court case in West Virginia that basically said, student athletes can transfer as much as they want. That is going to create a whole different look. Teams are going to change dramatically, over the course of a year. Basketball teams could lose 8-9 players and have to bring in 8 or 9 new players starting probably the middle of May. So you don't know what your team's going to look like. That's going to be very challenging for the coaches. The second thing is, what everybody talks about now, NIL. We are in the process of establishing an NIL collective. When I say we, that's the collective we, not ETSU, because we really can't do that. What we can do, though, is encourage people to join, our NIL, ETSU's NIL. And most of you know Pete Peterson. He's been working on this quite a bit, and we're in the process, and probably in the next day or so to have, a website that will kind of share with everybody what our NIL efforts are. A collective that has been established is something called Bucks for Good, and there's a real need for everybody to help us do that. As we go around the league, and of course a lot of this, you don't know how much of it is true, but I think it's pretty clear that in basketball and in football to some degree, that some of the SoCon members have basically invested in some student athletes. We're pretty sure we know of 3 or 4 schools that have put a substantial amount of money into student athletes' pockets through collectives. If we don't get into that world, then we clearly won't be able to compete. When you look back at some of the players that we had in basketball, most of you will remember some of these people like Hunter Mascara Perea. in today's world, we would never get Hunter Mascara-Perea. When he transferred to us from Indiana, it basically came down to UCLA and ETSU. Well, in today's world, UCLA will clearly outpay ETSU. We have, Deuce Bello. Deuce could have gone to a couple ACC schools, but chose to come here because of relationship with Coach Forbes. Same way with Jelon Gwynn. Jelon could have gone to Boston College, or he could have come to ETSU. Today's world, he clearly goes to Boston College because we know they're paying significant dollars as part of NIL. Jerome Rodriguez, we recruited Jerome Rodriguez. It became down between us and Seton Hall. We know that everybody in the Big East is paying significant dollars to their student athletes. I just read an article last week that Villanova is basically paying. They have a $3 million annual payroll that everybody on their team basically gets a minimum of $75,000, and starters get anywhere from $300,000 to $700,000. So that's the world that we're in. In our situation, there are schools that are mid-majors, somewhat like us. School in the Colonial Athletic Association. I guess it's the Coastal Athletic Association now. They have $1 million annual payroll. So that's kind of where we are. The reality of it is, if we don't get into NIL in football, men's and women's basketball, then we really have no chance to compete. So I think as we move forward in our strategic plan, we are trying to determine what are our priorities, and then we're going to have to allocate resources based upon priorities. And with that in mind, that's going to create some pretty significant change as to the way ETSU has operated over the last, pick a number, 20, 25 years. So change is always difficult, I get it, but the reality it is, over the next 6 months, we are going to do a really deep dive into what our priorities are, how we're going to allocate resources, and then figure out how to meet the needs of our student athletes, but also be competitive in the sports that we think are important. I don't think it's a stretch to say that men's and women's basketball and football are clearly very important priorities for us. But we're not creating these priorities just based upon arbitrary or capricious thoughts. We have developed 19 criteria that we are using to evaluate our sports and help us prioritize where we're going. So that's kind of where we are. Of course, the other thing that has had a dramatic impact on us and will continue to have a dramatic impact is, conference realignment with, the Power 5 going to the Power 4, and it looks like now it's really going to be the Power 2, the SEC, and the Big Ten. That's going to have dramatic implications for what does the Group of 5 do? What does the upper level of FCS do? So we're going to try to, get a little bit ahead of the curve, figure that out, and then present a plan to the president and the board so that we all know, what our direction is. This is no question, this is a challenging time. For us to be successful, we all need to pull together. We need to figure out that we're on the same page. And, if we all start to, not be that and be divisive, then surely, there is not a bright future ahead. But I believe, as in the past, the ETSU fan base, the ETSU alums, they have really done a great job of pulling together and supporting where we're going. So I guess that's, what I ask you to do in the future, pull together, have a little confidence in how we put together this plan, this path forward, because it's going to be very necessary if we are going to have the results that we all want. Once again, just to reemphasize, we are in the process very soon, should have some information that we can share with you about our NIL collective. It's called Bucks for Good. But we're going to need everybody to participate in that, and as we put together this financial pro forma to get us where we need to go. So be on the lookout for that. There should be information out very, very soon. So looking forward to hearing from all of you what you think we need to do and how we need to move forward, because this isn't me doing it, this is us doing it. So let's kind of think about what needs to happen, and if you can share that with me and our staff, I greatly appreciate it. So excited about the challenge. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be change, but we can get there if we all stick together. So thank you.